StreamYard. Oh, baby, I think we're live. All right, welcome, everyone. This is I'm going to start from the beginning like it's an actual podcast because this is I don't really know what. All right, here we go. Take two. Everyone, shut up.
What a way to start this week's show.
Everyone, Josh specifically, can it. All right. Welcome into No Pun Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. I am your host, Joe Zolo, and we are now going to be streaming, which is a lot of fun. I don't know if you saw that. I did streaming with my hands, like a fish, Dory specifically. Joining me, as always, the lovable Joshua Hudson. Josh, how are you?
I don't think my name has ever been synonymous with lovable, so
it is today.
Apparently. But yeah, as you can see, we've got a couple guests on with us, so that's always fun.
Oh,
baby. Joe, do you want to make the official announcement, or do you want me to?
Well, I guess I should because I'm the host.
Go ahead. You're the host. So
I'm the face of this show. So joining us for the past, what's it been now, like 4 weeks or so? He's been on the show like 7-8 times at this point. Ryan Weiss here, as always, Fantasy 5. He is now going to be joining full-time as our third co-host. So round of applause here for the mustache man.
Thank you.
Ryan,
glorious mustache, full-time.
Yes, so Ryan will be joining us full-time. And for her, at this point, I don't even know. She's probably been the second most visited guest, the loudest guest, the best guest. No,
and that's saying
something
considering I'm on this show.
So. Well, Josh, you're not a guest. Read the contract.
But I'm the loudest. Let's be real here.
I guess. Stepmom Lauren Carpenter. Lauren, thank you.
Hi, Lauren.
Thank you. Hi, I'm here. And I hopefully won't sound like a demon.
Yes.
Maybe I will. Who knows? But it won't be coming from my microphone.
But before we went live here on the stream.
Ryan's still in his pantry. Continue.
Before we went live here on the stream, if you've ever listened to some of our shows before, we've poked fun at it that when Lauren hops on with us, her mic turns into a demon. We don't know why. It just happens only with us. So yeah. we had to figure that out. So now we figured it out. We have fixed it. So now we are good to go. We're starting off with our team previews again, continuing on with that. The Indianapolis Colts, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Denver Broncos. If you're watching live with us on Twitch, if you missed the show, please go listen to it, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and vice versa. You're listening to it recorded. You want to watch our pretty faces live, twitch.tv/clubfantasyffl. We will be streaming to multiple platforms soon enough. My cat is in the background meowing up a storm, so I hope you can't hear that. Oh, yes. She is just the best in the world. All right. Let's kick this off. So for those who have never watched the show before, never listened to the show before, how this is going to go with these team previews is we will highlight the upside, downside, trust fall, rookie, sleeper, and IDP from all three of our experts, Josh, Ryan, and Lauren, for each team, and then we will break down one specific person within that group that is, either controversial for being picked there or maybe the unpopular opinion according to the general populace. So starting off with the Colts, upside, Josh, you have Paris Campbell. Ryan and Lauren pick Jack Doyle, the tight end. Downside, Josh, you have T.Y. Hilton. Ryan, you have both Marlon Mack and Jonathan Taylor. Lauren, you just have Marlon Mack. Josh, your trust fall is rookie Jonathan Taylor. Ryan, yours is T.Y. Hilton. Lauren, yours is Marlon Mack, also as a downside. Okay, all right. Well, it's like this backfield's going to be fun to talk about.
Exactly.
Rookie to watch, you all chose Michael Pittman Jr. out of USC. My sleeper, I have Nyheim Hines, whom I know Ryan is a big fan of. And for IDP, I have Darius Leonard. Kid's a stud. He will score close to 300 points. No doubt in my mind. Draft Darius Leonard high if possible. He will rack up points in your league. So, I mean, at this point, let's start with the three-headed, not so much of a monster of a backfield of Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack, and Nyheim Hines. Let's start here because I'm interested to hear Lauren's point of why he's a downside, but also why you want him on your team. So, Lauren, take it away.
This is so confusing. This whole backfield is so confusing. So I personally am going to try to avoid this backfield in every chance I possibly can. Even if I'm forced into this position where I'm staring at one of these guys, I think I might look elsewhere for upside somewhere else. I don't want to deal with it. So the reason why Marlon Mack is both a downside is there's some obvious reasons here. It's a monster. It's like Cerberus in the backfield. There's too many things going on with them. I don't feel like it's consistent. But one of the things I have Marlon Mack in as a trust fall is not season long. I have him in as a trust fall for the first several weeks, let's say 4 weeks. So let's say you are in a position, you need a running back desperately. You just don't have that depth. But, maybe you're in a smaller league, let's say 8 to 10 people, and there are players you can pick up on the waiver wire. I think Marlon Mack is going to be a decent pickup early. But because he has an injury history and he's, I don't want to say aged because I'm old, but there's some young talent in there. I also love Nyheim Hines as well. I think he's a fantastic player. There's just too much talent there. So that's why he's also the trust fall, because I think he's going to do well for his couple weeks. I think inevitably going to be usurped. So hence why he's also the downside. I know that's very confusing, but I couldn't pick him. I didn't know where to put him. So you know what? How about both?
Well,
I mean,
as the old man of the show, I'm just confused.
How old are you? No, I'm older than you.
24 years old is aged now for Marlon.
I know. See, I feel like it's the same way with Jordan Howard. I feel like Jordan Howard is like 87. He's like 22 or something. I don't know how old he is, but it feels like he's been around for so long. We've been talking about him for forever. I don't know. I was being sarcastic because I'm a lot older than him. So, hey, and you.
I mean, when you're in a backfield with Hines and Taylor, you're going to be the granddaddy anyways.
I know, right? I think that's where I was going with young talent behind the old man at 24.
Yes, the ancient man at 24, coming off the last year of his rookie contract, so he's really up there in age.
Oh God, he's that? Yeah. Oh man, I guess I'm just jaded.
Yeah, to 24, really.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, Mack is going into year 4, Hines is going into year 3, and then Taylor is in year 1. It's not like there's really anybody that's old in this backfield. So
just ignore everything I said. People usually do, so that's fine. But I feel like he's older. I don't know, like way older.
Well, I mean, when you really stop and look at it, especially with last year, he had an okay year. It wasn't anything great. Everybody was really hyping him up when you look at the quality of the offensive line, a new quarterback coming in with the sudden retirement of Andrew Luck. People were expecting to lean on Mack, and then he doesn't even play all 16 games, still tops 1,000 yards, but we all kind of expected him to have a higher touchdown total as well, and that just wasn't there. So the fantasy value in general was just kind of eh. And then now you bring in Jonathan Taylor, who basically averaged over 2,000 rushing yards per year in college. It's very easy to want to just fade Mack. I don't think he's going away, but he's also just going to be as disappointing as he was last year, in my opinion.
Well, I think a big thing about that, and we talked about this with Leonard Fournette, is the Colts have no reason not to run him into the ground right now. They're not going to re-up his contract under any circumstance. Chris Ballard just doesn't do that to begin with, the general manager out there. I just truly think they, especially like Lauren brought up, early on in the season, my only worry is a lot of times with that early on in the season, I like to be able to trade that guy before he falls off the cliff. Nobody's buying Marlon Mack from you. They all know what's happening. So you're kind of stuck with him. But right now, I could see a situation where Taylor's peppered in, especially early, and Mack is just running to the ground to start those games, and that's going to be great for your first 4 games of the season.
Yeah, we kind of touched on it last week that, Mack could start the season as, the guy.
Yeah.
And Taylor only gets 10 carries per game, but he could very easily have over 100 yards or 80 and a touchdown because his quality of style of running behind that quality of an offensive line, it's unlimited potential there.
The one thing that's starting to scare me with fantasy Twitter is they're pretending Jonathan Taylor could not bust. I'm now seeing things about him being the RB1 in fantasy football. Like I don't know if the guy was being facetious, but I'm just like, okay, we need to pump the brakes a little bit. So I started doing some digging on 2,000-yard seasons, and there was a guy, Troy Davis, who came out in like the late 90s who went for back-to-back 2,000-yard seasons, not nearly Jonathan Taylor's size. He did nothing in the NFL. He didn't even rush for 1,000 yards in the 3 seasons he was in the NFL, and he was a second-round pick. So it's not impossible that Taylor bust. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but man, the hype is getting out of control.
Don't you dare put that slander on Jonathan Taylor. John Helmkamp will come and find you.
Oh, I know he will. I'm afraid of the beard for sure.
Listen. I love bringing this up when we talk JT because he is the only college football player in college football history to rush for over 6,000 yards in 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And then when you go down this list for guys who have eclipsed 5,000 yards in just 3 seasons, does the name Herschel Walker ring a bell? Because that's one of them. This guy, Garrett Wolf from Northern Illinois. So I believe that's D2 or D1 AA. And I believe that is it for the list. I could be wrong, though. I'm looking at it going quickly through here. But it's like you have he's basically in the same conversation as Herschel Walker, except he was better than Herschel Walker. He has rushed for yards as the same as Ricky Williams and Tony Dorsett and D'Angelo Williams. So it's like all these guys, Cedric Benson thrown in there from UT, LaDainian Tomlinson, he rushed more than. So it's like all of these guys have been, studs in the NFL. I'm not saying there's guys in here that haven't. Donnell Pumphrey. Josh, you know that all too well.
So yeah, he's one who popped up on my list too. So.
Yeah.
God, that was awful.
Travis Prentice, Archie Griffin. Like there's not a lot of guys here that you look at and say, okay, well, they didn't make it. They didn't do as well in the NFL, but there's loads of guys who look at and say, okay, I see you. And also not to mention Wisconsin produces running backs.
Yes.
That's the one thing that I say, okay, outside of Monte Ball, who was a pile of garbage, most every Wisconsin running back that's come out has been drafted high, has played pretty well in the NFL as of late. I mean, the guy who has the most rushing yards in college football history, Ron Dane, went to Wisconsin. So it's like, and it's not even close. He has the most rushing yards by almost 600 yards.
Yep.
Like, it's not even close. So you look at that. Wisconsin is a school that churns out running backs, and I think Jonathan Taylor takes over almost immediately. I really think he absolutely destroys this year. And for the years beyond. I am with John in saying that I am pants off for this guy because legitimately, Lauren, I see you. Don't. I see
We
you.
have a mom on this show, Joe. Be respectful, okay?
Listen. Lauren knows what she's getting into when she comes on here. But no, I mean, seriously, you're gonna sit here and tell me that Marlon Mack is gonna take up 4 weeks of Jonathan Taylor's time? I'm sorry. That's not going to happen. I'll believe you if you want to say Nyheim Hines is going to cut into his production because Hines will be roped in on 3rd down and he'll be roped in more in the passing game.
I love how
maybe
people
JT.
are really sleeping on him because he had a down last year. His rookie year, he had 81 targets with Andrew Luck. This is not a guy that's just going to fall off when you have now a quarterback that just loves dumping it off to running backs. So
ready? Hold on. Let's play it. Let this. Oh, my favorite game. Who would you rather? Right? Because Hines to me, when Josh, when you put Campbell as your upside, I thought you would have put Hines there personally.
Well, I mean, I think they're both quality candidates in all honesty, but Campbell came in. Campbell came in with a lot of hype last year, being a 2nd-round guy, 4.3 speed. And, was injured most of the year. So I would not be surprised if we saw a DJ Shark-esque jump from him.
Yeah.
Maybe not to that extent because he's mostly running out of the slot. But there could easily be a huge jump in production, especially when you consider T.Y. is going into this year at 31, has missed
aged
8. Yeah, that would be where that agent term comes into play, Lauren. He's older, hasn't played 16 games in a couple years. And, now they're adding the young pieces to that offense. You draft Michael Pittman this year, Paris Campbell last year. Hilton, if Hilton doesn't produce this year, he's not going to over the next 2 or 3 or whatever it is that, he hopes he can continue to play.
And coming out of the slot for a fast guy like Campbell could actually be a good thing if you get the ball in his hands quickly. I was going through and looking at his senior year, 12 touchdowns his senior year, and 3 of them were from, I think it was 3, maybe 4, were more than 50 yards out. So he's the guy who's going to take the ball and do something with it. And if you truly believe Rivers' arm might be shot, that's even better for him in that situation.
He's absolute lightning with the ball in his hands. So I believe, did he run close to a 4.3 at the combine, I think?
Yeah. Campbell was like 4.33, 4.31, something like that. Yeah,
he was an absolute bullet at the combine. So looking forward to that. And circling back to Nyheim Hines and the Would You Rather game, I mean, this is kind of like legitimately depressing at who he's being drafted around. So currently, Nyheim Hines is RB 53. We're going to play Who Would You Rather from RB 50 all the way to RB 56. You all are going to laugh at who is being taken in the same sentence as Nyheim Hines. All right, we ready? Here we go. Boston Scott or Nyheim Hines? Josh?
Give me Hines.
Ryan?
Hines.
Lauren?
Hines.
All right, Antonio Gibson or Nyheim Hines? Josh?
Hines.
Ryan?
Hines.
Lauren?
I'll say Hines. Jason Moore might take Antonio Gibson. I'm kidding. He probably
there are a lot of people that like the upside of Gibson.
And
there's definitely a lot there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of upside with Gibson when you factor in just the complete unknown with that Washington Redskins backfield. But I still would rather have Hines.
Justin Jackson at RB 52 or Nyheim Hines? Josh?
PPR Hines, standard, I'd probably go Jackson.
Ryan?
I don't play standard, so Hines.
To be fair, I don't either, but
these are PPR rankings, just so everyone knows. And Lauren?
That one is a curious one for me, but I'll stick with Hines on it. It did make me think, though.
Okay, so Hines at 53. At 54, A.J. Dillon or Nyheim Hines? Josh?
Oh, Hines. I'm not a Dillon fan.
Ryan?
Hines.
Lauren?
Who? Hines.
I thought you didn't hear me? We're really confused. All right, this one might be the only interesting one to me out of this bunch. Nyheim Hines or Chase Edmonds? Josh?
I would go Hines. Edmonds is probably a premier handcuff because we've seen what he's been able to do as a full-time starter, but he's not going to get that as long as Drake is healthy. So give me Hines.
Sure. Ryan?
I think Benjamin takes Edmonds' job, so give me Hines.
Okay. Lauren?
For the sake of this argument, I will agree with Hines as well. However, were I to draft a handcuff, Alexander Madison and Chase Edmonds are at the top of my handcuffs. So, I don't know. Production, fantasy-wise, without someone getting injured in order to have any kind of fantasy production, Hines.
Okay. And last one. At RB 56, Anthony McFarland Jr. or Nyheim Hines? Josh?
Hines.
Ryan?
Hines.
Lauren?
Hines.
Okay, glad we got that out of the way. Some other names, being taken, one would say much higher than him, that, you could maybe flip a coin between the two, maybe. Latavius Murray at 46, I think could be a controversial one between Hines and that. Someone's got a doggy going on in the background.
That's me. Sorry, trying to cover my mic up.
Ryan.
Your dog could eat my dog as an hors d'oeuvre.
Ryan, listen.
I'll mute.
Who? Oh no. I want you to answer the question. Who invited you on this show?
Technically, it was Josh, all because of a Mark Ingram disagreement, so it's Josh's fault.
Who agreed to have you on the show? My goodness.
Yeah, it's amazing how we come from disagreeing on what Mark Ingram can do in 2019 to where we are now.
Being a co-host.
So there you go.
To him being a co-host, and ruining the show with his dog in the background. No, I'm kidding. Honestly, at this point, like, there's a dog in the background. Woohoo! Get the dog on stream. Let's get him on stream.
Yeah,
I'll get her a Twitter.
Nice.
Wait, Lisa, just I almost died laughing because I just noticed the game behind you, Ryan, and it says Small World. I totally thought it said Smaller D, and I was like, that is not a good game.
Listen.
I was dying earlier. I didn't want to say anything.
Listen,
Like,
Out
you
of
should
control.
take that away.
I saw you put that in the private chat. I was like, okay, I gotta hold my laughter. And then you said it anyway. I'm like, I don't care. We're going for it.
I'm crying.
so
Like,
what
does that say?
one thing I want to do before we move on, because I feel like this is a really interesting who would you rather.
Okay.
So at RB 53 is Nyheim Hines. At RB 22 is
Whoa.
James Conner. Now, call me crazy, but I would kind of rather have Nyheim Hines on my team than James Conner.
I'll call you
Discuss.
crazy. I would much rather have James Conner because
Nope.
I know that when Conner plays, he's going to have over 14 points per game, and I can't see that with Hines.
Well, then you're looking at the draft cost, though, because at RB22, he's going in the 4th round, whereas you're getting Hines.
5th round, yeah.
You're getting Hines the 11th or 12th. I mean, I'm not comfortable taking Connor in the 4th. I'll say that.
Facts. Okay. No, I mean, I'm not saying I'm taking Nyheim Hines in the 5th round. That's
Obviously.
not by any means what I'm saying. But I sit there and say, look, what Austin Eckler did last year as a receiving back, Nyheim Hines now has that same quarterback. That's
Exactly.
all I'm saying. He is going to be used so much in a James White-esque role. And if you remember 2 years ago, James White was RB8 in fantasy football. He had, I think, 270 points. I was making the New England Patriots graphics today. It was like some absurd number that I'm like, are you kidding me? He really scored that many points? So it's like, again, I'm not saying Hines scores that much, but I think Hines easily eclipses 200 this year. I think easily
Bold, Joe.
eclipses
That
200.
is bold.
All right, so ready? You want to? We'll play. This is the last thing we're gonna do. You said T.Y. Hilton is old, so he'll be out 10 games this year. Paris Campbell unproven. Michael Pittman unproven. Jack Doyle's a blocking tight end. JT is a running back, and Marlon Mack can't catch the football. So that breaks it down to Nyheim Hines is probably the first option in that offense in terms of the receiving game. So, I mean, if we're really breaking it down bare bones and you guys are saying T.Y. is not going to last this year and, you know, he shouldn't be drafted as high, I mean, who's spreading out wide opposite T.Y. Hilton?
Yeah.
Nyheim Hines is probably going to be that guy.
Don't sleep on Zach Pascal, man. We've been around
Hey,
this, you know.
I have played Zach Pascal multiple times last year. I love Zach Pascal. But if you're sitting here and telling me Zach Pascal's going to take targets away from Nyheim Hines, you're the crazy one, Joshua.
One of the things I want to bring up before we move on, in the show notes, somebody put in there who's going to play the Mike Williams role, and it got me digging. And it is eerie how much Michael Pittman and Mike Williams are the same. Their size is almost identical. Their combine is almost identical. Pittman had a slightly better vertical. They ran the same 40, the exact same broad jump, and Williams was 2 bench presses better in the bench press, obviously. So it's
That is
really
eerie.
Like, it is insane how much they are the same person.
Biggest
That's
difference,
crazy.
though, Michael Pittman doesn't have the contested catch rate that
Sure.
Mike Williams does.
Yeah.
He's not near as good on jump balls.
What I got from that is Michael Pittman Jr. is going to have 50 catches for 1,200 yards because that's the Phillip Rivers. To
and
That's
one-
the Mike Williams benchmark, right?
Yes.
and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's the benchmark. I'm not worried about Michael Pittman because Phillip Rivers can't hit the broadside of a barn at this age if he throws it more than 5 yards down the field. All right, on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The
Get it right,
previews-
Joe. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The
Okay.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And
The
Bay is BAE.
Bay.
listen.
I actually like that one better, Ryan. I do.
I'm not mad Tom left. I mean, 20 years in a relationship, you're bound to hate each other. But at this point, right, like the thing that makes me mad is the narrative that last year he was washed up, dead. The guy can't play anymore. And now
everybody loves him.
He goes to Tampa and it's like, oh, baby, but mark Tampa in as the NFC favorites. Excuse me, what? Like, are they the favorites in their division? Like, that's kind of made me mad with this whole Tom Brady talk. But moving into the upsides, Josh and Ryan, you have Mike Evans, and Lauren, you have Chris Godwin. I am surprised that Josh and Ryan have Mike Evans there. Just noting that.
I actually thought his ADP was a little lower than what it currently is. I think it's wide receiver 7.
His ADP is wide receiver 7. He's going mid-third round.
Yeah, I was a little shocked by that too.
Yeah. Downside, Josh, Ryan, you both have Rob Gronkowski. Lauren, you have Ronald Jones. Trust fall, Josh and Ryan, again, with the agreement train. Chris Godwin at wide receiver. Lauren, Tom Brady. All right, love it. Rookie to watch, you guys all have Keyshawn Vaughn. Sleeper, I have Dare Ungubawale. I mean, pick your who else is there to pick at this point? I don't believe in Scotty Miller. Just because he's short and white people doesn't mean that Tom Brady's going to throw to him. IDP, I have Levante David. If you don't pay attention to defense, please pay attention to Levante David. He has been one of the best and most underrated middle linebackers in the NFL for the past 5-6 years, ever since he's entered the league. Sideline to sideline speed. He'll run through you. Oh, and he can play pass coverage. The guy's an absolute stud, but no one ever talks about him. So Levante David, big fan of his. So I guess let's start there. You talked about Mike Evans and the ADP. Josh, we'll start with you. Does that change your mind as Evans is an upside if he's the wide receiver 7 right now? Because I know a lot of what you have been saying, and a lot of what I've been saying too, is that Tom Brady's never been able to throw the deep ball in his entire career unless he had Randy Moss, and that was 10 years ago. And people are saying, oh, well, Mike Evans could do the same thing that Randy Moss did. Pump the brakes a little bit on that. But I don't disagree in the fact that Mike Evans is a very strong deep threat with incredible size at this point in his career. But again, you look at Brady, who's going on, 43 now at this point? I've lost track 43. Of how old the man is.
Aged.
Ancient, yes. But I mean, at age 30, Tom couldn't throw that. Like, he threw the deep ball to Randy Moss because it was Randy freaking Moss. You threw within 20 yards of him, he was going to catch it. And it's like
Mike Evans is kind of the same way, though. I mean, but 6 straight years in the league, 6 straight years over 1,000 yards. Last year, he had the lowest target that he's seen in a single season and still topped 1,100 yards. And he's done that by averaging over 17 yards per reception and then averaging like 11.5 yards per reception. Mike Evans is a very good wide receiver. People are just sleeping on him, in my opinion, because Godwin finally broke out. So everybody's like, oh, Godwin's got to be the guy. Like, screw Mike Evans. And then they forget that Evans has been doing this the whole time.
I love Mike Evans. I'm just saying that most of his game is in the deep ball right now, in my opinion, in that offense. And Tom Brady cannot.
Well, it is only because Bruce Arians is a risk it or biscuit type guy. Like, he's just throwing the ball down the field. But that doesn't mean that Mike Evans can't run, anything other than just the 9 route. Like, he can run the digs, he can run the curls, he can run the over the middle, whatever. The way that he's built and he has that speed, he can be utilized in a lot of different ways.
I don't disagree with you. But if big brain Bruce Arians out there is going to rearrange his offense for his players, then you got something screwed up in your head, because he's already come out and said, yeah, we're not adjusting the offense to the best quarterback of all time. He's going to learn our offense. Bruce, that offense has won 6 Super Bowls. Your offense has barely made it into the playoffs. Are you smoking crack? So first off, Mike Evans is going to be running straight his entire career as long as Bruce Arians is there. All right? That man is old, whacked in the head, and really needs to change some things up. He is lucky that Tom Brady fell into his lap. Literally fell into his lap, because if he didn't, he'd be stuck with peanut for a brain Jameis Winston, and he'll throw for 5,000 yards, but he's going to throw for 40 interceptions. You bet your bottom dollar on it. So it's like, I am not. I think Mike Evans can be a wide receiver 2 this year. No way in hell he plays to his value at wide receiver 7 right now. Not a shot. Ryan, Lauren, jump in.
I'm going to let Lauren go first.
Okay, so the reason I have Chris Godwin here as my upside is because I see him as like a Julian Edelman on steroids almost. And I think it's where Tom Brady feels the most comfortable. And when you're learning a new offense, whether or not that's what Tom Brady is going to be doing, I think that position, and as well as Chris Godwin plays it, I think that's going to be a comfort zone that Brady's going to be able to target. And that gives me a lot of confidence in volume. It gives me a lot of confidence in PPR. I really like that. Mike Evans makes me nervous. According to Fantasy Football Calculator in PPR, he's going at right around the 212. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I want to try to avoid it unless I absolutely have to. But if I'm taking Mike Evans, I'm okay. But he may be more of a matchup-based player for me. But I can definitely see his upside. I think there are places where he is absolutely going to crush it, like, your like dough when you're kneading it and to put it into the oven. It's going to be like, arr! That's what he's doing in the end zone. That should be his touchdown dance. Arr! I don't think that'll catch on.
I'll
email him.
For those listening to the podcast and not seeing Lauren and what she did, she kind of just punched her screen. So I want you to imagine Lauren punching her screen.
There's no fingers. I just have like mitts for hands.
Yeah, it's like nubs. It's just nubs.
Yeah. I'm actually enacting my family heritage as a Neanderthal.
Oh.
Touchdown.
There you go.
Like that's kind of what he does. But I'm so on the fence with this argument with Mike Evans. I think both of them are quite fascinating. Whether or not you see him as a high wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 week, so you see him as a solid wide receiver 1, I'm not sure. But part of me kind of wants to see him do a bounce back here, Like I want to see him just crush where people have him. But I think 212 is a little high. Maybe it's not though, because it's at the end of the second round. I don't know. I'm not.
So ready?
Sure.
Would you rather? It's my favorite game in the world because it settles every debate. Every debate. Okay. So Mike Evans, wide receiver 7 right now, according to Fantasy Pros, which Lauren said is the 212. He's going 212 overall in drafts. So we're playing this as who would you rather as your wide receiver 1, going from who's at wide receiver 4 to wide receiver 10. We'll cut off 11 and 12 for right now. Okay. Wide receiver 4, Tyreek Hill or Mike Evans? Josh.
Tyreek. Just a better offense. He's the main focal point at wide receiver. So I would take that.
Ryan.
Tyreek.
Lauren.
Tyreek Hill.
Okay, that's
although I hate him as a person, but I mean Tyreek Hill for fantasy.
I also hate him as a person. Wide receiver 5, Julio Jones or Mike Evans? Josh. Thank you. Julio. Okay, Ryan.
Julio.
Lauren.
Also Julio.
I would also say Julio, and I have banned I have banned Julio from my teams because he has disappointed me so many times.
He's been a lot more consistent as of late, though.
He has
the last couple of years. So
he has. So
he's
maybe I'll.
Though that's where it's missing.
Yeah, maybe I'll give him a shot. And I think Julio Jones is arguably the best receiver in the NFL. I just hate him as a fantasy football wide receiver 1 because he has disappointed me too many times.
Last year, one of 3 wide receivers to have 10 or more weeks as a top 24 wide receiver. So
he's a baller.
That goes to show you the consistency that he brought to the table last year.
He's a baller. Chris Godwin or Mike Evans? Josh.
Godwin from a consistency standpoint.
Ryan.
Godwin.
Like
Lauren.
this, obviously Godwin. Yeah.
Godwin. Yeah. All right, Mike Evans or Kenny Golladay? I think this one's interesting. Josh. They are going at 212 and 3-1. They are literally back to back. So
this is kind of close for me. I think I would take Kenny Golladay just because I know for a fact that he is the number 1 there. But from a consistency standpoint, there really isn't much difference between the two.
Ryan.
Evans.
Lauren.
Kenny Golladay.
I go Golladay because Matt Stafford can throw the deep ball, and Golladay has more versatility in that offense, I think, despite Matt Patricia being another dingbat as a head coach. Love you, Patricia. You brought us some good times, but you are not a good head coach. I like Golladay more, younger, quicker, faster. Not better hands, but I think Mike Evans beats him in that department. But Kenny Golladay. I feel like this one's an easy one. Mike Evans or DJ Moore as your wide receiver 1. Josh?
If we're talking dynasty, it'd be Moore. But for 2020, give me Evans.
Ryan?
Evans.
Lauren?
Evans.
Evans. That's an easy one. And last one at wide receiver 10. Odell Beckham Jr.
I knew you were going to ask this.
Or Mike Evans. Josh?
Evans. He'll see more targets, and that's what I want to see out of a wide receiver.
Ryan?
Mr. Mike Evans.
Lauren.
Where is my coin so I can flip it?
So and that's why I find this
I'm
interesting because are you banking on Odell to have a bounce back year?
I am. I do. I think he's going to have a much better year this year. I think they're going to finish very close. I think. I don't know, but there's a very valid point here that there's a lot of mouths to feed on the Browns. But OBJ he's supposed to be healthy this year. It seems difficult for me to believe that he's just going to kind of fade away into the Browns' nothingness. And they're almost the same player to me in respect of production, volume, targets. There's a lot of mouths to feed in Tampa as well. So I'm not sure. Literally flip a coin. But, for argument's sake, just to be that girl, I'll go OBJ.
If you could guarantee me that Kevin Stefanski would actually call 530 passing plays, I would take OBJ. But
that's the thing. That's why I like OBJ though, because he's not going to be calling all of these huge amount of passing plays. So there are going to be targets that are going to have to be distributed between him, Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper. However, OBJ is going to get the bigger amount of targets out of that offense. I believe it's going to be Jarvis Landry not too far behind, but I think OBJ is going to get a little bit more of that target share, even if he's being a prima donna. I don't know, but I could be totally wrong. But that's just kind of how I see it. So if they're not going to throw the ball as much, I think they're going to target OBJ.
The Browns threw 530 times last year, and Landry beat him by 5 targets. So
he was also hurt, though.
So was Landry. They both played all 16 games and played equal snaps the entire season.
Well, so did Kamara. Kamara played a ton of games, and he was really hurt but didn't do crap. But you're playing through an injury, I'm just saying. I have Jarvis Landry on a lot of teams, so I really hope that Jarvis Landry does well. But I think in a whip it out contest, I think OBJ might win.
Nice. I think the point you guys are missing is that it's not going to be the same Browns offense. We're talking about Minnesota's offense from last year in Cleveland this year.
Yep.
Stephon Diggs didn't even top 100 targets last year.
Because Stephon Diggs has Crisco that rubs his hands, and he doesn't know how to catch the ball very well.
I actually just wrote an article about this. The Vikings the Vikings literally only had one game where a player had more than 10 targets. OBJ had 7 of his own last season, and no player for the Vikings averaged more than 6.5 targets in a game last year. I want no part of
OBJ over Evans.
Okay, so hold on, right? I'm as you guys have been arguing, I have been looking at the schedules.
Debating. I wouldn't call it arguing.
I've been looking
argue with you.
I've been looking at the schedules for both teams, and as I look at it, I was like, okay, well, Beckham's going to have to go against. He only goes against Joe Hayden once because the Browns play the Steelers in Week 17, but he'll go against Marlon Humphrey twice. I look at the rest of their schedule. They have absolute cupcakes in the secondary. The Raiders, the Redskins, the Texans, the Eagles, the Jaguars, the Titans, the Giants, and the Jets. They play nobody with the secondary. Like not even a resemblance of a collegiate secondary. They barely made it out of high school. Like these guys don't deserve a spot on an NFL field. So like, I mean, looking at that, I mean, again, so you'll have Mike Evans will go against Marshawn Lattimore twice. Lattimore's a hit or miss. So there's something to be said there, but he'll go against in championship week. He'll go against Desmond Trufant or Jeff Okudah from the Lions. The Vikings, I believe Xavier Rhodes, Jalen Ramsey on the Rams.
No, he's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, the roads are wide open in Minnesota. So.
They were wide open last year too.
Yeah, they were. But then you have with the Bears, Kyle Fuller, the Chargers, Casey Hayward, Jair Alexander with the Packers. Like I think looking at it strictly matchup wise, Mike Evans is going to have a tougher schedule than Odell Beckham. Because like I said, outside of those 3 division games that they'll play, 2 against Baltimore and 1 against Pittsburgh, I honestly, the best secondary they face is probably the Titans with Adoree Jackson. That's probably Odell's toughest matchup outside of the division.
Well, Slay will give him trouble in Philadelphia.
Correct. Sorry, I forgot about Slay. Yes, so Slay will give him trouble. I just like you look at it, it's like, okay, eliminate a quarter of the season for Odell, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still got 12 games to show out in his playoff schedule. Giants and Jets. Okay, sign me up for that. Like, if you're looking for trade targets and Beckham is doing okay that season.
Oh, 100%.
Odell Beckham, yeah, here's your playoff schedule. The Giants and the Jets. Sign me up. Because Jamal Adams ain't going to be there by year's end. And DeAndre Baker is going to be covering him in New York. So, and also he gets to play New York in New York. He'll go for 250 yards and 5 touchdowns that game.
That might be worth it alone.
100%. All right, moving on to our last team of the night, the Denver Broncos. So this is an interesting up-and-coming team. Upside. We have 3 different upsides. Oh, my God, yay. Josh, Drew Lock, Ryan, Noah Fant, Lauren, Cortland Sutton. Downside, Josh, Phillip Lindsay, Ryan and Lauren have Melvin Gordon. Trust fall, Josh and Ryan on the agreement train once more with Cortland Sutton. Lauren, you have Phillip Lindsay. Rookie to watch, you all have Jerry Jeudy. It's pretty easy to do. Sleepers, I have Noah Fant. I would have put Drew Lock on here if Josh didn't have him as his upside. I do want to say that. Deep leagues, Drew Lock will play well this year. I have the same mentality with Dwayne Haskins. And then IDP, Todd Davis. Not a name a lot of people know. He's not great in pass coverage, but that doesn't really matter in fantasy football. Losing a couple interceptions here and there from your linebacker is not, a big loss for points. Todd Davis, a strong inside linebacker, put up 200-plus points the past 2 years. He's a hard hitter. Not a lot of people know his name unless you're someone who watches that division, the AFC West, or someone who is a Broncos fan. Big fan of Todd Davis in terms of what he can do in fantasy football and in terms of the run game as well. So I guess let's start here with their backfield, because this is another interesting backfield. They have a strong backfield with Melvin Gordon, whom they acquired from the Chargers, Phillip Lindsay, and Royce Freeman. Realistically, all 3 of these guys could start in the NFL. We've seen Melvin Gordon start. We've seen Phillip Lindsay obviously play well, and we've seen Royce Freeman shine as well in this offense. Josh, I want to know. Actually, no, I don't want to go to you. Screw you, Ryan. I want to know, because you had Phillip Lindsay as your downside. I want to hear the argument between Lauren and Ryan here. So
I have Gordon
Ryan,
as my downside.
Yeah. So Ryan, why do you have Gordon as your downside? Because I'm interested. Ryan has Gordon as his downside, and Lauren has.
I was gonna say, I just put out an article about Melvin Gordon, so you can very easily just see my comments on him on Club Fantasy FFL.
I have Gordon as my downside too, and the only reason why it's Melvin Gordon is because I don't think Royce Freeman sees the field. Otherwise, it would have been Royce Freeman.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. So why do you have Phillip Lindsay as your trust fall then? Do you feel he gets worked in a lot into this offense, Lauren?
I do. Yes, and I think because he's so explosive, and you can't really hold him back. He's going to make things out of nothing. And I like where he's going in ADP. I like that I can put him into a flex spot if I want to. I'm not wasting draft capital to reach for him to get him. So I really like his position that he has carved out for himself. Everything changes, of course, so I could be completely wrong. I hope I'm not, because I love Phillip Lindsay, but he came out of nowhere. Undrafted free agent, made a name for himself. Like I mentioned before, carved out this identity that he's going to have on this offense. And with practically a rookie quarterback, although it's his second year, Drew Lock only played 4 or 5 games last year. I think having that kind of a safety ball net with pardon. Too many Tito's. With my boy Phillip Lindsay, I think that's going to be something that cannot be denied, and it's just going to happen game after game. So
that's fair. All right, and joining us here a little later in the show, dun 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 dun, Faith has joined the show. Faith,
guys.
Welcome.
Hi, love. How are you?
I'm good, darling. Now that I'm not on mute.
Yeah. Lauren muted herself real quick.
Very nice cup.
So, Lauren, if you heard some swirling in the background of Lauren's microphone, that's Tito's, correct?
Yes.
Tito's
in a beautiful chalice. It is a gorgeous watermelon color that says, "This is probably Tito's." Just scratch out that probably. This is Tito's.
This is Tito's. Love it.
A
Absolutely
gift from my
love it.
girl Faith. Thank you, my dear. I drink it every day. Literally.
I feel like that should be a song. This is Tito's.
I know, it should be. Country radio, man. It'll be a hit if it's not already.
If
It's not whiskey, it's not going to be a country hit.
Exactly.
hey,
Oh, you
hey,
be quiet
hey,
over there.
Listen,
Shut your mouth.
Josh, the rules for country music, it has to be about a truck, a dog, a big heartbreak, or alcohol.
America.
Or
America.
America.
America. Get it right.
America.
Gotta have your grandma on there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Old family members is a whole category as
Yes.
well.
And sitting on their porch, chewing straw.
Yes.
Oh, we are upsetting just so many people. with that.
Listen, Ryan, is it upsetting or is it the truth?
I used to sing country music. I love country music. So it's all in good fun. There is a country song about making fun of country songs.
Love
There
it.
you go.
Lauren, real
Yes.
question here for our country fans listening. Is Casey Musgraves a country music artist? Because I will die on this hill saying that she is not country music. Thank you, Faith. I see you aggressively saying no.
There's a crush genre in there. Is she like bluegrass, down country? No, she's kind of like what's the word? It's like hip hop country. I don't even think that's a genre.
No, that's not a thing.
Alternative
because
country.
Listen.
She's
we're-
the same
version
kind
of
of
it.
country that Taylor Swift is.
No, listen. Taylor Swift isn't country anymore. That's the thing. She made.
Carrie
Was
Was
Underwood.
she ever country, though?
Hey, you're gonna sit here and tell me that
How did we get
teardrops
on
on
country music?
listen, teardrops on my guitar back to December. You're telling me that's not country music, Josh? Go back, listen to the original Taylor Swift, and you.
You know,
tell
I have
me.
zero opinions on country music, and
I
I freaking hate country music.
Listen.
It is
Well, then you
literally
have
the
an
only
opinion.
genre of music that I cannot stand.
Do I need to get Maggie in here and defend Taylor Swift's honor? Because I will.
But
I'm
all of
defending
our
it
country-
already.
All of our country fans still follow us on Twitter.
Yes,
we're not
please.
trying to upset you.
Yes, no. This is just opinionated here. Okay,
It is wonderful to have spirited debates about music that moves the world.
yes.
There you go.
The world's going to keep spinning. Country music's going to keep churning. And Carrie Underwood and Brad.
Another
What?
country song in the making. Well done.
Exactly. Yes. All right. Last thing I want to talk about here, because I find this is pretty interesting, is Cortland Sutton. I found there's debate between, whether a lot of people like him this year or whether a lot of people don't like him this year.
There should be no debate. That's garbage.
I agree. I'm a big SMU Mustangs wide receiver fan, and Cortland Sutton fits the bill. I love his jump from year 1 to year 2. Lauren, you have him as your upside. Josh and Ryan, you guys have him as your trust falls. So we'll just do a quick elevator pitch here. And Faith, how do you feel about Cortland Sutton? Just a shrug of the shoulders for those not watching the stream. Shrug of the shoulders. All right. So Josh, Ryan, and Lauren, give me your 30-second elevator pitch on why you should draft Cortland Sutton this year. Josh, start with you.
Because he's the damn man. I'm keeping it censored. I love Cortland Sutton. Loved him since he came out from SMU. He's an absolute baller. Yes, he struggled towards the tail end of last year when they traded Emmanuel Sanders. He was seeing more attention. They added some weapons, so that should free them up a little bit, even if he's still going to be the man and get most of the coverage. Once Judy starts catching some balls, things will open up some more for Sutton. I think he's going to have a rock solid back half of 2020.
Ryan.
I say he's cheap right now. Wide receiver 17 for ADP, was the wide receiver 19 last year, only fell to wide receiver 26 when he was playing with Drew Lock, and Lock has a lot of room to grow. I think you're buying him at his floor, and that's always the goal in fantasy football.
Lauren.
Drew Lock loves to throw the deep ball. He did in college. He's also one of the more accurate quarterbacks that you're going to see in the league. You add in Jerry Jeudy, who is already have a predefined role in the slot. You have specific identities. I think they're going to make it work with the explosive running back and Phillip Lindsay. Also, sprinkle in a little bit of Melvin Gordon there, here or there, line of scrimmage. I think you've got a pretty balanced offense, and I think Drew Lock takes a big step forward this year, and he's going to have some hefty, solid, talented weapons that I love that whole offense. I love Drew Lock, I love Jerry Jeudy, and I love Cortland Sutton because he is going to score you massive points.
Love it. Awesome.
For cheap.
One thing before we wrap up the show here and get to some exciting announcements at the end. Something that NFL on ESPN tweeted out today at 11 in the morning, Central Time. It was the worst NFL teams of the decade, according to Football Outsiders. Now, I'm not sure, Ryan, you're laughing. Have you seen this?
Yeah, someone said it was the only win for the 2017 Cleveland Browns. So
yes. So, to give a little spoiler, the 0-16 Cleveland Browns didn't even crack the top 5. So here's the top 5 worst NFL teams of the decade, according to Football Outsiders. This could be one of the worst lists created ever. Number 5, the 2010 Arizona Cardinals. Fair. I believe that was the year after Kurt Warner retired. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, that was that year when they were bouncing between Drew Stanton and the other guy. I can't think of his name. That was a rough year. But
yeah.
Skeleton, something like that.
Drew Stanton.
Yeah, Skelton. John Skelton.
Number 4, the 2019 Miami Dolphins. Being honest here,
I'm surprised they weren't higher, but
what? Really? I thought Flores kind of pulled them together at the end.
So is he talking about? I didn't look deep into this list. Are they talking about talent on roster? Because there was no talent on that roster outside of Devontae Parker. Because I
was gonna say, hold up. I was gonna say, watch out there now. Hey.
I really
the magical beard is on that team, as is Devontae Parker and Mike Gesicki. Watch your mouth, Ryan Weiss. I see you. I see you.
So I guess
in your pantry and smaller D. I see it.
So it looks like the criteria for this list is so according to the article, it says the metrics used from Football Outsiders are DVOA, which is defense adjusted value over average for teams, and DYAR, defense adjusted yards above replacement. Wow. So basically a bunch of bullshit.
But it's stats though, so it's interesting. So
I love numbers.
Yeah, Faith and I hate numbers. So
I don't do math. If the world revolved around me doing math, so what you just said sounded like ancient Greek.
Oh, this is.
You might as well you spoke in another language.
Listen. You just have to sit there, go back, watch the film, and say,
just sit here. I can do that.
No, perfect. All you have to do is sit there and say, look, I don't need any DVOA or DYAR to tell me that the Cleveland Browns of 2017 were the worst team of the decade. I don't need stats to tell me that. I need my eyeballs to tell me that. So that
you don't need a DVOA to let you know that they were a POS?
No, I don't. Fair. I don't. But all right, so that was number 4. Number 3 was the 2013 Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that was the year before Blake Bortles. I believe Bortles was drafted in 2014. I could be wrong. Might have been.
Blaine Gabbert the quarterback?
That was the Blaine Gabbert year. I believe you are correct. The elite
good old Mizzou
Blaine Gabbert. 2012 Kansas City Chiefs. What a turnaround. I don't remember who they had that year. That's 8 years back now at this point. And then the 2018 Arizona Cardinals were the worst NFL team of the decade.
That was a pretty bad team, but I don't know that they were the worst.
Yeah, I mean, bad team. Not sure if they were the worst. That's something. It didn't make that. The list is terrible. First off,
this is why numbers exist, so that you can get pissed off and then tell us to debate it.
No,
right
listen,
there, Joe. That's all.
No, numbers. This is just stupid. This is just stupid. Like,
why are we talking about this again?
Because I like to wrap up the show on fun, topical news, Lauren, and this is stupid.
Got it.
This is stupid.
Agree.
Well, we wrapped up last week with the top 10 quarterbacks heading into 2020 season, according to this guy who writes at CBS Sports. And Ben freaking Roethlisberger made the top 10. What? Are you kidding me? Him and his Yeti-looking ass? Like, what?
He's kicked some addictions this week, though. So he's
God.
Ready.
No, Ben Roethlisberger, 10. Tom Brady, 9. No, Tom Brady shouldn't be in the top 10. Drew Brees shouldn't be 4 above Dak Prescott and Deshaun Watson. This is stupid. That's stupid. So I like to end the show on stupid topical stuff. And this is stupid because we're debating the greatness of teams on their defense adjusted value over average, which I don't know what that means.
Joe, this topic wasn't about great teams. This topic was about very bad teams.
Listen. They have the great teams list, and the number one team of the decade was the 2013 Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, Legion of Boom.
Yep.
And then the next was the 2010 New England Patriots. I'll take it. But the Seahawks accounted for 3 of the top 5 teams of the decade. I feel like
they did have good defenses all those years. So
they did.
And both of those stats were defensive heavy, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's very true. So the number one offense of the decade, though, your 2010 New England Patriots. High five, Faith. The third offense, 2011 New England Patriots. The 5th best offense, the 2017 New England Patriots. You know what's weird? I don't see the Eagles on here. That's really strange.
Oh yeah, but that you know that 2017 Patriots team that you're talking about? Yeah, they kind of lost to us. So
Yeah.
that's weird.
Yeah, they were really good that year.
Josh, count the
Just
rings
because Tom Brady can't throw and catch to himself doesn't mean the rest of the team isn't great. Okay.
Josh, I want you to sit
exactly
there
what it is,
and take the time to count your rings on one hand while I count how many rings we have on 2. Okay? I want you to take the time.
That's okay. That's okay.
I think you do.
Recent
Ryan
history
and I are
matters
over
too.
here on this side of the screen, like, what's up? And go. I'll go this way. And go. Where's the popcorn?
To be fair, I have to be on Josh's side. My son's name is Donovan after Donovan McNabb. I was a huge Donovan McNabb guy.
I love McNabb.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of McNabb. Listen, nothing against McNabb. Hey, we beat McNabb in the Super Bowl. More than happy about it.
Heartbreaking.
Oh, not heartbreaking. It was fantastic. All right. So, Josh, I will let you take it over from here. We have some fun stuff at the end. Joshua, take it away.
Yes, and this was really the biggest reason why I wanted to bring Faith on, because I've been working with her to kind of put this whole thing in motion that we're doing. Faith, would you like to take the reins to kind of like throw this out there, and I can give a little bit more of the details?
Wait, you're letting me take over?
All you, Faith.
Go ahead. Isn't that kind of what you're going to be doing in a few weeks anyway?
Get it, girl.
It's a leap of faith.
I see what you did there, Ryan. So, yes. Hi, Lauren.
Hello.
Girl power. As Beyonce so greatly put it, who run the world? Girls. Well done. I'm very proud of the 3 of you.
Thank you.
So, Lauren and I are taking over. We're kicking these hooligans out, sort of.
Rude.
Hey, you've had enough airtime, Joe. Okay.
That's fair. No, that's fair. You're right. That's fair.
August 12th through September 2nd. The girls are taking over, no pun intended, and Club Fantasy to talk all things women in fantasy football.
That's right. Watch it.
Yes. So we're partnering with our radio station 97.3 Sunshine Jams in Miami, Fort Lauderdale. They've been fantastic with us and helping us to, put everything, on air through their station. And we're going to do a huge charity drive with this. We've got a couple charities that we're going to try to link up with and pull in donations, one of which being Fantasy Cares with the Scott Fishbowl. Excuse me. And we're working to, bring in some sponsors to get some items that people can, bid on. We can auction off to ultimately raise money for these different charities over the course of the full, 4+ weeks or so that we're doing this. We're hoping to get some fantastic women in sports on the air with us that you guys can talk with. And Joe, Ryan, myself, probably just on air, sitting back and taking it all in. And you guys just sort of run the show. And it's going to be a lot of fun. If things go really well, which I'm hoping they do, I'd love to be able to make this kind of a yearly thing and just keep, raising money for great causes and, bringing awareness that, you know what, women know how to talk sports too. It's not just guys and, you know, sitting in their underwear behind microphones and that kind of thing. So,
Hey,
I mean, there's still that though.
Hey,
No, it's
listen.
That will never not be the case.
I know. And who says I'm wearing pants right now? I'm kidding. I am. So Marcus Grant, you guys all know him from. I feel like how I just went right into that. So Marcus Grant from the NFL Network, he was recently speaking, I believe, at one of his colleges, and there was a girl student who asked him, you know, how relevant are women in fantasy football? So it was really cool. The student asked Marcus Grant this question, and so right top of his head, he rattled off Kate Michelle Majuk and also Liz Loza from Yahoo Fantasy. And it's amazing, you know, there are so many of us in this industry, but bringing awareness to like what we do and how we do it, it's an amazing thing. And I want everyone to understand that we are just, you know, like one of the guys. We love it, but we also love that respect that you guys give us too. So this is that chance to showcase people who work so hard in this industry, because this is not like this huge money making thing that we go out and do because it's like, wow, look at all this, you know, just making it rain. We do this because we love to do this, and we love to talk with everybody, and we love to share our experiences and be one with the fantasy football world, which we end up hating every Sunday or loving, depending on how well you do that week. But we're all in it together. So it's really nice to have that opportunity to share that with everybody, how much women are so into this, way more than people may think.
Yeah. I actually recently joined an all-female best ball league, and I didn't even realize just how many women there were in fantasy football. And 10 out of the 12 of them are names I didn't even know.
And it's wonderful to network too. And there's just so many people that we don't know. And I meet people all the time where I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, that's fantastic. It just doesn't matter if you're men or you're women, but this is a mostly, from what I've seen, a very male prevalent and dominated industry, which is not a bad thing. It is what it is. So let's bring some more awareness to those ladies that are in here going toe to toe with you boys, or, you know, doing a little bit better. How'd that competition go earlier, Josh? Who won?
Listen. We got a bad draw.
That was like the absolute worst drawing. When I saw that, I was like, son of a bitch, we're not even going to have a chance.
Come on.
You sit there, it's like, hey, man. Club Fantasy. Yeah, you're going against Stepmom Lauren. Is like, really, man? Come on.
Come on.
Can we spin the bingo slot one more time to see if we can randomize this again? Because that's unfair.
I know you're wrong. There were a lot of absolutely fantastic accounts. So, I was just on. We were honored to be a part of it, and I'm fairly certain that most people that we would have drawn against it would have been like, "Oh crap, I really love their work. I don't want to go against them." But you know, it is what it is.
There's a lot of good people in it, so it was hard.
Losing to Stepmom Lauren. So
I mean, that's how I felt when I had to vote.
I know, girl. And then you're like, oh my gosh. And then I might be up against John Helmkamp, the Dynasty Beard, a local friend of ours, not local, but I mean, between us, it's local. It feels local.
When he's all the way across the country.
Might as well be local.
I know. Yeah. I forgot he was in Arizona. There was another word I wanted for yeah, I mean, like that's what I meant by local. I don't know. I think you knew what I meant.
Am I the only one not in Florida? Is that what this is? Ryan, where are you?
Ohio, baby.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
Home of the not the worst. Home of the not the worst team of the decade, the Cleveland Browns.
That's right.
I feel like that is that the Cleveland Browns' crowning achievement of their franchise history is not the worst team of the decade, despite going 0-16.
I mean, if I were the Browns, I'd be like, yeah.
Why not? Right?
No. Why not?
Raise the banner.
Yeah, Hugh Jackson isn't the worst. That's the new tagline for the Cleveland Browns. Faith, Lauren, any more to add on that topic before we kind of wrap up here with what we're doing come the month of August?
I think more to come soon. We'll be able to keep you guys posted on a whole bunch of new stuff that we're coming out with and what you guys can expect. So follow both of us. I'm Stepmom Lauren, Faith.
At FF_Lipa Faith.
Give us a follow, and then you'll be able to follow along with us as we have this awesome journey for those couple weekends that we're going to do it.
Yes. And one more time for Ryan, where can everyone find you?
The Fantasy 5. 5 is spelled out, FIVE.
And you can follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL is clubfantasyffl.com. You heard Josh say we were talking Broncos. Latest article up there talking about his thoughts on Melvin Gordon. Be sure go and check that out. New revamped website. So please check it out. Let us know what you think. Pat on the back to myself right there. I think it's okay. Let's not go ahead of ourselves here and say it's like, thanks, Lauren.
I got you.
It's not like it's not like a masterpiece, but
Joe immediately tempering everyone's expectations before.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
It's a brand new website.
It's beautiful.
It's not good.
Don't sell yourself short.
Everyone, right? I'll pump it up. It is
It's
the
a
best.
website with a domain name. That's what we got, right?
It's
It's
the
not
best.
the worst website.
It's not the worst. We are not the 2018 Arizona Cardinals. We are not the
Exactly.
worst.
We did it.
2016 Cleveland Browns.
We are the 2016 Cleveland Browns. Yes, Dave.
I'm so proud of us.
Yes. New part in the bio. Website equals 2016 Cleveland Browns. Also, the Tinder of fantasy football
Yes.
podcast. That's the two things in the bio right now. Be sure follow us on social media. Check out the website. If you're watching the live stream, check us out. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts for the podcast that's released every Thursday morning, off season and in season at 9 a.m. Eastern time. If you're listening to the podcast, you can catch the live streams that happen Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern. If you want to watch us live, chat with us there. We can answer some of your questions on air as well. Always remember, defense wins championships, offense wins fantasy football, and we will see you next week for the Falcons, Cowboys, and Steelers, a look inside preview with PFN's Tommy Garrett, another friend of the show.